Elizabeth's shoe. The pool scene with Jack Daniels. All right, but back to this beer. And welcome back to the beer garden where the pollinating has begun. It is early spring, regardless of the time of the year you're watching this video. And if you are here because you like beer, and let's be honest, why else would you be? Please do me a favor, tap that subscribe button down below or follow, depending on the platform you're watching this on, because I have low self-esteem and lots of followers and subscribers. It makes me feel really good about myself. Go ahead. Go ahead. There you go. All right, and up this round on a Beer Snob's Cheap Brew review, another thundering viewer request. And the more and more this came, I've been trying to avoid this brew for as long as I could, but now I can't avoid it any longer. I'm talking about Busch Ice, 5.9%. And coming up at the end of this Cheap Brew review, I'm going to rate Busch Ice out of 5 stars. How good a cheap beer is Busch Ice, and how cheap is it? Well, I got this 25-ounce can. Now, I'm not a tiny man with tiny hands. I got this 25-ounce can, the big one, at a gas station for $1.79. 5.9% alcohol and 25 ounces. So, hey, sounds like a pretty good bang for your buck. But to be honest, I did a little bit of research in this and I did not see nor read one positive review. Of course, ice beers were born in the mid-90s when the ice beer craze was, everybody was doing ice. You know, it was right after the draft phase, I guess, the draft in a can type of thing. Then everybody went ice. And since the pollinating has begun, and it's fairly warm here in the beer garden, I have my trusty beer glass decal, keeping the bugs and the pollen out of the exclusive, sold out, a Beer Snob's Cheap Brew Review pint glass, to be complimented by a Beer Snob's Cheap Brew Review leather patch trucker cap. Very nice, very bougie. And I'm starting to realize that all of these requests for what people review as a really bad brew are coming in. Yeah, you guys just like to see me suffer, don't you? Yeah, you do. Masochists, or is it sadist? I always get that mixed up. All right, let's pop the top and see what we got on this 25-ounce can of Busch Ice. Okay, I'm always leery about a beer that advertises that it has corn and rice in it, corn or rice in it. Just those adjunct are just that, junk. They add junk to the beer. I gotta be honest, I'm dripping all over the place here. I'm dripping on my decal. Gotta be honest, I'm a little impressed by the color. It's more golden than I anticipated. Must be all that high fructose corn syrup they use in it. Just kidding. I know it ain't malt. Oh, there went the head. It didn't even make it 30 seconds, did it? I'm detecting notes of a Walmart tennis shoe. Smells sort of like a college town sidewalk right outside of a bar the morning after. All right, time for the liquid to hit the lips. I don't want to drink alone. Grab yourself a brew. Let's go. Cheers. All right, I hear you. Yeah, you haters out there say, hey, Beer Snob, you drink the beer too fast. How can you pull anything out of a beer like that? Let's be honest. A lot of these cheap brews, do you really want to savor it? Do you really need a spittoon, and do you really need to take your time to analyze? And let's be honest, they're made for pounding, so I think I'm reviewing it in its proper venue. Always careful never to touch the can nor bottle to the glass that you're drinking out of. I've said this about some other brews, the real cheap ones, and again, 25 ounces for $1.79. I feel like I ought to be sitting on a street corner in a mid-sized American city with my hat next to me, and perhaps I have like a cardboard sign right there that says "Spare change for cheap brews." I feel like I should be drinking this out of the can, and the can is still in a paper brown bag. Who would be drinking ice other than college students who don't know any better? Perhaps homeless people. Perhaps someone who's down on his luck, like Nicolas Cage in the movie Leaving Las Vegas, when he just was fired and has nowhere to go and has decided to go to Vegas to drink himself to death. So he gets a shopping cart full of anything that has alcohol in it. Great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Elizabeth Shue. The pool scene with Jack Daniels. All right, but back to this beer. You know, if you're buying a 30-pack of Busch Ice and it only costs you about $11, I mean, come on. You can't be expecting much. To be honest, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, because Busch just has so lack of flavor. I was hoping that the ice would pump it up a little bit, especially with the darker urine color. It's very watery for 5.9%. Alky water. I don't think this really tastes like Busch that much. It's the bigger brother. Maybe it's that uncle who smokes cigars and comes by once a year, and when he does, he says, "Hey, come on over here," and then gives you like a $20 bill and some sort of a firearm he pulls out of his trunk and gifts it to you. Yeah, I had one of those uncles. It has a cheapness to it you can't deny. It tastes like sort of if you were to go hiking with a wool sock on, and after a full day of hiking, you pitch your tent, and then you take your hiking boots off, you take off that wool sock, and then you lick that wool sock, and then you squeezed the sweat out of that wool sock into this glass and drank it. I think you would be right on, and you'd save yourself $1.79. So out of 5 stars, 5 being a very good cheap brew, where do I put Busch Ice out of 5 stars? I'm gonna ring you up at a 1.81 out of 5 stars, just slightly above what I paid for the beer, $1.79. Hey, God bless you if you made it through this brew review this long. Please tap that subscribe button if you haven't already, and join our group on Facebook, A Beer Snob's Cheap Brew Review. Also, please follow on Twitter and Instagram. We're trying to figure out the TikTok thing, but it's hard to shave these things down to less than 60 seconds. Oh, man. And it's a beautiful day here in the beer garden. Why don't you grab yourself a beer and you drink that beer. Cheers.